Making a movie is rarely very easy, and sometimes even a simple scene can take a lot longer than anticipated. Whether it be because the director is a massive perfectionist, or an actor can't remember their lines because of issues in their personal life, or maybe they just have some rotten luck.
Jesus Christ!
Cut!
What the that sound?
Some seemingly simple scenes can sometimes have over 100 takes. In this video, we are going to take a look at 15 movie scenes that took an absurdly large amount of takes or days to film. Let's get to it. If there's one thing to know about director Stanley Kubrick, other than, being one of the best of all time, is that the man was somewhat of a perfectionist. So much so that a simple scene of Tom Cruise walking through a door took nearly 100 takes to film. The scene in question comes in Kubrick's last movie, Eyes Wide Shut, and the director had Cruise walk through a door 95 different times, which, can you actually walk through a door 95 different ways? I don't know. What makes this crazier though is that no one actually knows which moment this is in reference to, as Cruise walks through a door multiple times in the movie, meaning that all those takes were probably for naught, especially as Kubrick was known to predominantly go off the first take. Back to Tom Cruise. If Kubrick was known for being a perfectionist, Cruise is known for being an adrenaline junkie, and as you know, he has performed many of his own stunts in his movies. Take, for example, Mission Impossible Fallout, where Cruise performs a halo jump out of a plane, with Cruise doing the stunt for real and actually jumping from 25,000 feet in the air. What's crazier still, though, is that he did this 106 times. You probably already know this one, but the scene where Peter Parker catches MJ and her lunch in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man was done for real. Raimi opted to do this stunt for real, having Maguire catch each and every lunch item on the tray without the help of visual effects. But as you can guess, this is not an easy stunt to perform, and it took Maguire just a few attempts to get it right. 106 times to be exact. Although it took a few attempts, it's hard to say that it was not impressive, seeing as there was not a single spill.
Wow, great reflexes.
This next one probably is not surprising, seeing as the scene was epic, but the Helm's Deep battle in Two Towers was a monster of a shoot. The scene was shot over 3 months at around 120 days in New Zealand, and it required a number of set builds, miniatures and big sets, what they call bigiatures, and shooting at nighttime during heavy rainfalls, some of which were real and some of which were fabricated by production. 20 hours of footage was recorded in total and cut down to an arc of around 39 minutes. Again, while the exact number of takes is unknown, the Day of the Dead scene in Spectre was another that was surprisingly difficult to film. The opening sequence, which runs around 4 minutes, was shot to look like one long take, but it was actually filmed in 6 different locations, predominantly switching from Mexico to Pinewood Studios in London, and had 1,500 extras. As we didn't focus on takes specifically though there, according to Craig, the final scene of Casino Royale where he delivers Bond's famous line took a great number of takes, as, you kind of want to get that one right, although the exact number is not known. When it comes to going over time and over budget, Jaws is a prime example. The shoot, which was meant to only be 55 days, ended up going longer than 159 days, with the money spent jumping from $4 million to $9 million. Part of the reason for this was malfunctions, such as Bruce the Shark as well as the Orca, which underwent some massive damage after the hull got ripped open by a rig in a stunt gone wrong. But the best example of a scene taking way too long is the moment that Quint assembles the harpoon gun, with Spielberg using 50 takes on the scene in order to get the desired performance. Going through a breakup is hard, but going through a breakup 99 times, yeah, that's even harder. Although that's exactly what happened in The Social Network. Like Kubrick, David Fincher is a notorious perfectionist, and despite filming dozens of takes, he would end up deleting the last 10 from the camera roll. But Fincher surpassed himself for The Social Network, having Jesse Eisenberg and Rooney Mara acting out their argument scene at the beginning of the movie 99 times. Because Kubrick is such a perfectionist, is it any wonder that he's back in this video again? Kubrick's treatment of actress Shelley Duvall for The Shining is fairly notorious, and Kubrick would often harass and agitate her on purpose to get her into character and into the mindset of Wendy. The bat scene where Jack approaches Wendy menacingly as she swings the bat at him took over 127 takes, with Kubrick pushing Duvall to the brink of insanity. But this number was surpassed by the scene where Halloran explains the shine to Danny early on in the movie, which took just shy of 150 takes. Unsurprisingly, the "Here's Johnny" scene also took multiple takes, as Nicholson was apparently splintering the wood too quickly. One of the best fight sequences in any movie comes in the hallway scene in Oldboy. The sequence, which had very limited CGI, was made to emulate one take, although it was actually composed of multiple shots stitched together. The scene, which took around 3 days to shoot, apparently ended up using 17 takes, which compared to some on this list isn't actually that bad. To be honest, there is no good reason the lineup scene in The Usual Suspects took as long as it did, as what should have been a simple scene took upwards of 15 takes. That's because actor Benicio del Toro was, let's say, a little gassy that day, and he would constantly fart during the scene, causing his fellow co-stars to keep on giggling, although the crew were not so thrilled. The RoboCop suit may have looked super cool, but it wasn't exactly practical, and it made a simple scene such as catching keys almost impossible. Because Peter Weller was left blinded by the mask, the scene where RoboCop walks past the police chief and grabs the keys midair took all day to film, as Weller's impaired vision meant that he kept on missing them. It's no secret that in the days before her untimely death, Marilyn Monroe was going through a number of personal issues and was dealing with heavy substance abuse. This meant that she would constantly get her lines wrong during the filming of one of my all-time favorite comedies, Some Like It Hot, and Monroe was constantly flubbing her lines. In fact, she did it so often that her co-stars Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis would take bets on how many tries she would take to get her lines right. In fact, the "It's Me Sugar" scene took 47 takes to get right, as Monroe would constantly get the lines wrong. And even when director Billy Wilder taped her lines to the inside of the drawer for the "Where's That Bourbon" line, she still got it wrong as she opened the wrong drawer, leading Wilder to tape the line to all of the drawers. Despite this, it still took Monroe 59 times to get it right. Like Kubrick and Wilder, Charlie Chaplin was also known for his perfectionism, and this led him to shooting the scene where he eats a shoe in Gold Rush 63 times. Of course, the shoe wasn't real, but Chaplin still had to be rushed to hospital for insulin shock because the shoe was made out of licorice, and he ate 63 of them. But this was nothing compared to Chaplin's scene in City Lights where the tramp meets the flower girl. Chaplin was apparently not so keen on his on-screen partner Virginia Cheryl's acting abilities and forced his co-star to perform the 3-minute scene a massive 342 times, which I imagine Cheryl wasn't too thrilled about. Another physical performer who uses a crazy amount of takes is Jackie Chan. For the movie Young Master, the famous and brilliant fan sequence reportedly took 329 takes to perform. However, if rumor is to be believed, although this number admittedly feels far too high, for the hacky sack scene in the movie Dragon Lord, Chan took 2,900 takes to get the scene right, which is absolutely insane if true, but also pretty damn cool. One final piece of trivia before we go. The famous domino scene in V for Vendetta was apparently a tricky one, as it involved 22,000 dominoes, 4 professional domino assemblers, that's a weird job I know, and 200 hours to prepare. Now that is commitment.